So I would love to talk about that because that's a large part of what I do when I do the education process of speaking about being a co-responder. And I'll use a comparison. So I work in 6 police departments. I respond with officers and deputies to 911 calls. And there was this assumption that once we had a co-responding mental health professional, that the calls for service for mental health related or behavioral health related issues would, because somehow the co-responder model was going to wave that magic wand and solve it. First year that each of those departments had their co-responding mental health professional, the mental health calls spiked. And initially, when you look at that data, you go, geez, Susie and crew, I thought you were doing something about this. And look at now your numbers are doubled. The increase in what we're seeing for youth or adult behavioral health and mental health symptoms is gonna go up because guess what? We have more recognition of it now. We see it more, so it's going to look as though it is an epidemic. And I would say that that number has always been there. We just have the right lens on to see it now. Second, I would offer to the point that we've already been hearing is that we have taken away the things that in an academic or in a school setting created more well-rounded, capable individuals. And by that, I mean, we have had, and I've seen it in my lifetime, a shift to having academics be the lead goal for what you do in school. And if you somehow don't fit on that train, then somehow you are not successful. We have taken away music programs, art programs, sports. We have taken away recess. We have taken away the time in which a student would actually get social interaction and interpersonal interaction as a point of education. And there cannot be, as far as I'm concerned, academic success without the parallel of that interpersonal development. And that is that emotional and feelings recognition and how to relate to the person sitting next to you. The other thing to your point about being a coach that I think is wildly important is it's not just about being fit and playing a sport and practicing and doing it well, but about the fortitude to learn a skill, how to win gracefully, and lose professionally, and how to cope with the feeling of loss if you don't win. Instead of giving a trophy for showing up to everyone, we've lost this skill to feel distress. The 911 calls I go on, girlfriend just broke up with me, boyfriend just broke up with me, I'm gonna kill myself. There is so little distress tolerance capabilities, and art and music and sports and those social interactions teach how to hold that discomfort. And when we monitor the increases and the development of social media, the respite that kids were getting by going home from the bullying, from the standards, from the expectations, from the judgment of what you should be versus what you could be versus what you are somehow is not good enough anymore, has been deleted because you get the constant feedback in a social media setting that you used to be able to leave when you left school. And so if we don't look at all of that in a metered response, I'm going to get more calls, my partners are going to get more calls, and we're going to continue to see this level of anxiety and mental health, behavioral health symptomology because our kids are going to be looking for the things that will make those feelings be satiated. And that can be drugs, alcohol, risky behavior, that can be depression symptoms, failings in schools, but I will offer this also. You may have a student that rises to that occasion and doesn't buckle under that pressure and is an incredible achiever, and they are still feeling the anxiety, the depression, the pressure, the anger, the sadness, and the fear, and they are just as bad off, quote, as somebody that you can see that recognition of because they are coming to you and having a level of dysregulation that is finally getting noticed.
I internalized. I was an A student. I had a California full ride state scholarship. I was dissociative. I thought I was demon possessed. I had horrible, I had lived with a level of trauma that no child should ever live with, not out of my family. I just want to say that. Success was a way for me to survive. And so my PhD after my name was my survival. And my way to validate and my way to deal with all this. But I came completely apart at the age of 60. And when we say it's not that mental health problems didn't exist, it's that they were hidden, they were invisible. And the culture I grew up in, nobody talked about that. Nobody, but it internalized it. So I am so grateful we're talking about it. I never dreamed that I would sit on a platform and talk about mental health issues. because it was not in my frame of reference. I really thought my life was over when I came and started telling my story. I thought it's over, it's done. And so, but we will see more because, and thank goodness, because the kids that were me were talking.
Yeah.
And they're getting help.
What is success? You know, that's a good question that needs to be asked. What is success defined by? Is it defined by going to an Ivy League school? Is it defined by getting a job in a high-tech industry? Is it defined by being a millionaire, having a great house, having a nice car, whatever it is? Like, for me personally, success is happiness over anything. I prioritize, now that I went through my mental health journey, happiness literally over everything. And when I was younger, I was taught the opposite of that. You know, growing up in a society that is so affluent, Kirkland, Bellevue, it's a bubble in comparison to the rest of the world. And there is such a high amount of pressure around here, at least for me personally, you know, growing up with two parents that were in the high-tech industry, growing up with a, you know, in Kirkland or Bellevue area it's rough. I went to a college prep middle school. The fact that they're prepping you for college and middle school is ridiculous, first off. But I mean, we literally had 8 classes. Like, I would go home and do homework for 6 hours a day, and I was 13, 12, you know? It was ridiculous. The amount of stress and pressure that was put on me was horrible because I was taught that there was only one path, you know? Up until I fell apart at 16, I was dead set that I was going to go to an Ivy League school. You know, I had perfect grades. I would literally kill myself to get perfect grades. The first time I got a B when I was 16, I cried. To make up for the fact that I got a B, I decided it would be a great idea to take 4 AP classes my junior year. And that was after taking every single possible advanced class that I could take. And it killed me, you know, like literally I had no time for anything other than school. The idea, the conception of happiness was no longer there. It was just, I mean, it wasn't even talked about. Like, I don't know. The biggest thing that I can say to help your kids, to help anybody, is to teach from the youngest age that success is not defined by getting a good job. It's not defined by the things that you accomplish. It's defined by the person that you are.
We were, I mean, yes, you had a lot of expectations on you. And, but I think there are expectations that in many ways we all put on our kids, again, just implicitly. It's not like we ever said to you, you have to get the best paying job ever.
The school that you went to.
Okay, that was a mistake. That one I own.
And I want to say that right there is how we change the world, is for a parent to say, okay, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say that right there.